Hi everybody, I've started a little bit early and I'll start properly at 1 o'clock, but this was an opportunity that was too good to miss. This ewe has just right now had this wee lamb, so while we wait for people to join, I will just keep it on that you can see her licking her lamb, having just given birth to it. So hi to everyone that's joining, Cape Cod, Massachusetts. I hope you've got good weather over there. So for those who are just joining, the reason you're coming straight into this sheep is she has literally just given birth. The lamb is still wet and you can see her licking it, and it was too good an opportunity to miss while you waited for me to give you an introduction. So hi to everybody that's joining us. Hello to Go Rural Scotland and everybody else that's logging on. Hi from Edinburgh. Hello to Ewan Pate, who's one of my neighbours just along the road, checking up that we're doing a decent job lambing our sheep this year. So for everyone that's just jumped on that hasn't already heard, the reason that I've gone straight in and you're seeing this sheep is because she has just given birth to it and is licking it dry. Its sibling is on its feet and already hunting for some milk. But this wee lamb that's still lying in the straw is being licked by its mum. As we go round, if anybody has any questions, please just ask away. I will do my best to cover everything that I can, but so I'm laughing because Hello Mummy has just flagged up, which means that my daughter and her fabulous childminder have logged on. Nothing like adding to the pressure. So yes, as I go around, please ask as many questions as you like. I will do my best to remember to cover as much, but it's really just to give you all as much of an experience of our lambing here at Clackmae as possible. So you can see our ewe isn't remotely worried about the fact that I'm very close, because she's just busy concentrating on licking her lamb dry. Our other two are off hunting. That one was the firstborn, it's the driest and the most confident on its feet. And this one is just trying to find milk anywhere, even if it's at the head of another sheep. So there we are. Hello from Kirriemuir, and Morven would like to know if the sheep have names. Very few of the sheep have names, just pet ones. If you look on the Clackmae Farm Facebook page, you will see we had one lamb whose half of its face was black, and half the team are calling it Patch and the other half are calling it Phantom. So you can all make your own minds up what you like to call it. So sheep like that, they're easily identifiable. We will give names to, but otherwise we tend not to. So while you're all continuing to watch that, hello and very warm welcome to Clackmae Farm, to our lambing shed. We started lambing on the 19th of March, and so we're really in the thick of lambing at the moment. We've got lots of ewes, lots of sheep lambing every day. I've just been round the shed to see if there were any others lambing, and typically though, there's nothing apart from this girl here who has just had her third. So unfortunately you weren't able to see her actually lambing live, but you can see this lamb in its very, very early stages of life. So I'll back away and spin round just so that you've got a rough idea of who is speaking to you. So hi, I am Sally Williams and I'm one of the farmers here. I'll put you back to the sheep now that you know who I am. I farm here with my family, with my mum and my dad, and as we go round the sheds today you'll see all the other people that are involved in lambing all of our sheep. So hi Dee! It is really quite nerve-wracking having all the locals logging on. So So we have around about 1,400 sheep lambing here this year. And I'm going to take you around and show you a lot of our breeds. So, but before that, lambing, as I said, started on the 19th of March. Now, we've got 3 sheds here, and they are split based on how many lambs the sheep are expected to have for 2 of our sheds, and then high from mull, and then one is split on breed. And if you look, you can see in the middle of this mummy's back, she has got an orange mark. And that told us to expect 3 lambs to come out of her. And we know that there were 3 lambs coming because in January, the beginning of January, we bring a professional in with a scanner who checks every single one of our sheep to tell us how many lambs they're going to have. It means that we can feed the sheep properly, because if you overfeed a sheep, she can get fat very easily, which will make it very difficult for her to have her lambs without any help. So these girls all in here are all going to have 3 lambs each. This girl has done it successfully all by herself, which is the whole aim of the game. I'm just going to walk down without catching my microphone and everything. So here, to the end of the shed, which will give you a better idea of the whole shed. So, and I've just realised that my selfie stick is on a major wobble today. So this is the view from the outside, looking right the way down our triplet shed. And in here, you can see our sheep have, hello lady, have different coloured faces. So the black ones looking right at you have had these little black lambs. These are Suffolks. The white girl with her back to me, that's a Texel. On the preview video telling you about today, there was a Texel looking over my shoulder that somebody thought looked fairly nasty. They just have those kind of grumpy faces. No matter what, that is just how a Texel is always going to look. So these, and there in the middle, if I can zoom in, that is a blue-faced Leicester over there. So that's 3 of the breeds that we have here at Clackmae. Now these girls are all waiting to go out to the field. They've all had their lambs, they've all been numbered up, and you can see the Texel number 14 with her lamb number 14. That means when she's out in the field, we know straight away whose lamb belongs to who. So if a lamb gets lost or separated from its mother and can't find it, we know exactly how we can pair them back up again. So these are all running loose because they're sorry, I'll take you around the beam there. These are all running loose in a big pen together, which before they go back out to the field means that they have had a chance to get used to finding their mums. The lambs know that mum's always going to be there, and they get used to hearing each other's bleats. Before they get to go out, they're in all of these smaller pens. So back round to these sheep are still waiting to lamb. When they lamb, they go into one of these smaller pens, so that the sheep is kept close to her lambs, and that way we can make sure that the lambs are well fed and that they've been licked dry and everything's fine, ready for them to go back out to the fields. They then go into those pens that we saw, where they get used to everything before they head on straight on out to the field. I showed you some Suffolks, some blue-faced Leicesters and some Texels. And these ladies in here with the whiter faces are a breed called a Cheviot Mule, and I'll explain more about them in a minute when we go over and actually see the Cheviot shed. And these girls with the brown faces are Suffolk Crosses. If I'm missing questions, apologies, because I'm getting lots of notifications of people watching. Although somebody's asked, where's Johnny? Johnny is my husband. He is somewhere around, probably hiding. When the team were told that I was doing the Lambathon this year, everybody said, well, what time? Because that's when we'll take lunch. So nothing like it being a solo effort because people have become camera shy. So these are all the mums in here that are still waiting to lamb. And as I said, once they've lambed, they'll go into one of these pens. Here's a mum sitting with her 2 lambs. And over here is another Texel with her 3 lambs. So at Clackmae, the aim is for everything to lamb themselves. We do not intervene unless we absolutely have to. And it means that over the years, we've made sure that we've got the right sheep to suit that system. So this clever Texel here had all 3 of these lambs all by herself. And as you say, she still looks grumpy. Doesn't matter what you do with a Texel, they have that look about them. Over in our other shed is our Cheviots. And here's the tractor. I'm in his way. He's ready to take the next lot of sheep out to the field with their lambs. Thankfully, the weather forecast has been wrong. We were forecast 40 minutes. And there's Josh. Say hello. Mortification for him. We were forecast 40-mile-an-hour winds, so I'm very relieved that that actually hasn't come to pass. So in here are our North Country Cheviots. This is a breed that would traditionally be found up in the top of hills, well, the Cheviot Hills, fun enough, which aren't very far away from me, from Clackmae Farm. So these girls are very hardy as they follow us round. Posts keep getting in the way. And can cope with the harsher weather that Scotland throws at us. Now, if you look very closely, she doesn't run away, you'll see the ear tags in these girls' ears. Now, they have an electronic chip in them. Sorry, I'm trying to zoom back out. They have an electronic chip in their ears. We have to do that legally, but we, on top of that, have decided to do something called performance recording of our Cheviots. Sorry, I'm being pointed that there might be something lambing. Here's my sister. Hello. Jenny is a nurse, but kindly gives up time to come and help us out at lambing. So that girl has just started. She might lamb while I'm explaining the performance recording. So we'll just stand here and watch her. Although my sister's pet dog has come to say hello, which has irritated the sheep a little bit. So our sheep have got these EID tags, electronic identification tags, and we do something called performance recording of our Cheviot flock, which means that all of the females born from... I will pass on your hi, Morna. All of the females born from these girls, we will be able to link back to their mother, their grandmother, their great-grandmother, and follow the family lines down through. And it means that we can keep selecting the best sheep to improve our flock and make sure that we've got the healthiest and most productive sheep going forwards. So these are all North Country Cheviots, and as I said before, in the other shed we have some Cheviot mules. So what we do with these girls is, to make a Cheviot mule, is you have a blue-faced Leicester tup, a ram, a boy, and he will mate with these girls to make the Cheviot mules. So we keep some as pures, which is what all of these girls are. And there's one with their tag already. So we'll know forever that that little lammy belongs to this mummy here. And I'm just hoping she doesn't box the... I'll take that back out of the pen in case she boxes my phone. To follow her bloodlines through. There she is. She's getting ready to go back to go out to the field. She's got her number on. She'll be put in a release pen and off she'll go. From all of our sheep here, we'll expect to have around about 2,500 lambs. And as I said, we keep the best, so we'll keep about 500 of these to keep breeding our own flock. Now in here you'll see these girls have got different coloured bottoms. There's one with a purple, here's one with a green, there's another one with a green over there. And this lets us know when the sheep are going to lamb, because we change the colours on the tups, on the rams, so as the sheep are tupped, it'll leave a mark so we know when to expect them. And in the next half hour, unfortunately I'll have finished this because I'm needed to stand on a road rather than speaking to all of you guys, and we'll be bringing more sheep into the shed. So the shed might look a little bit empty at the moment, but it's going to get filled back up. There's a yellow bottom. So it just gives us a guide. Sorry, you've gone tilted there. We feed our sheep twice a day in the shed. Okay. We feed our sheep twice a day in the shed. They get access to silage all the time. Now, silage is grass that we have baled up. Okay. And we also feed them, which I'm going to see. Here we are. This. So these are called U-rolls or U-cake, and because we know exactly how many lambs each of these girls are going to have, it means that we can feed them exactly the right amount. They get fed twice a day when they're in the shed, just because they can't free range, and I'm glad it makes you smile, Christy. Makes this all worth doing. We carefully monitor exactly how much they're going to eat. When they're out in the field, they can graze at will, so we only feed them that sheep cake once a day. But before lambing, they get fed twice a day, and while they're in the small pens, here you can see there's a wee lammy who's just gone in for a feed. Let's see if I can get in and you can see them, if it doesn't fuss her too much. There's clever wee lammy in having a nice feed at the milk. So back on the feed. We feed them twice a day before they lamb, when they're in the shed, and then when they go back out to the fields, we feed them once a day. I'm not picking up the bucket because they'll all think that it's dinner time come sooner than we were expecting, and they'll make a huge amount of racket. But there's wee lammy, and their wee shaking tails is probably the best bit. And there's another one that's in having a wee feed with a wee tail just wiggling away like mad. Classic though, when I move, there you go, there's the wiggly tail. They're almost like wind up toys. Put them in, they go on the teat and the tail starts wiggling. Yeah, lammy, happy and go. So these are all of our cheviots. Excuse me while I climb another gate. And we'll come across. And this is our shed of pairs. So these are Cheviot mules and Suffolk crosses who are all expected to have 2 lambs each. And there you go, Melanie, exactly 3 shakes of a lamb's tail. So now you've seen it live. And there's, you can see there's more in feeding. I take my hat off to these ladies because the lambs can be quite violent as they rattle away trying to make sure that they get as much milk as they possibly can. So these girls in here are all going to have 2 lambs each. Now in the first shed we were in, we had the sheep who are going to have 3 lambs, but we also had a pen of sheep who are only going to have 1 lamb. And 3 lambs can be quite hard work for some of these sheep. They only have 2 teats. So to make life a little bit easier, we will take the 3rd lamb away from a sheep with 3 lambs and give it to one that's only going to have 1. So she becomes a surrogate mum, an adopted mum. The sheep, if we move the lambs when the lamb is still wet, the sheep will readily accept them as part of their own. They don't realise that they've only actually had to give birth to 1 lamb. So I bet anybody who's had twins would probably wish the same thing could happen. So this is our shed, our pen, here of singles, and they've got the blue mark in the middle of their back. So when they were scanned back in January, we knew that they were just going to have 1, and we put them next to the ones with 3 just because they're nice and close, so we can keep a close eye on them. So here here comes some of the team chasing the sheep up the middle. The lambs have been lifted into the trailer. And the sheep are just following up the middle of the shed onto the trailer, and they'll be driven out to the field. Easy as that, on they go. The infrastructure here suits us in terms of the sheds are all next to the farmhouse, which is great for breakfast, lunch and tea, but it's not quite so handy for getting all of the sheep back out to the fields. So all 1,420 of the sheep that will lamb here will be trailered out of here in that trailer out to their fields. Somebody had asked how many people work here. So on the farm full time, there's myself and my mum and dad, and there's Mark, who's just getting into the tractor. He's here full time. Because I should have mentioned we also have a dairy, but I'll briefly mention that it's all about lambing. And additionally, at lambing time, my husband kindly takes 2 weeks off his work and comes and lambs. And hiding over there is Josh and Claire, who are both here just to help us with lambing. Claire is a vet nurse to trade, and Josh is studying agriculture. And you already saw my sister earlier on. So that makes up the lambing team. But we do have other people who work on the farm because of the dairy and the farm at large. So we're now going to go and look at everybody's favourite pen. And here are our orphan lambs. So here's Skippy. This lamb will come right up if it's given half a chance. So these lambs, for one reason or another, have found themselves without a mother. So they're kept in here. That light there is an infrared light. It keeps them nice and warm. Normally lambs would obviously cuddle in beside their mum's fleece, and that would keep them warm. So these have the heat lamp instead, and they are ad lib, so they can drink milk as much as they like. And you see there's a wee Suffolk who's just getting onto the teat, and there's old Skippy who's knocked it off. Okay, so they can drink milk whenever they want, as if they were still on their mum. These Suffolks are tagged the same as our Cheviates, because these are our purebred nucleus flock, which gives us our tups. And there's all our wee lammies. We try to stay as hands off as possible, so you won't find us bottle feeding lambs, simply because, well, lots of reasons actually. We don't have the time, but also this setup works well. The lambs are quite happy and being able to feed themselves. It's a system that just works really well. And Melanie, they are very cute, and then they get big, and then they sit on you, and they stop being quite so cute very, very quickly. And it's the same as yesterday. So this is the automatic feeder. We put the milk powder into here. It all automatically mixes with warm water, and then you follow the pipe all the way along. We keep it insulated, because if they're not drinking all the time, obviously the milk will get quite cool. So yeah, those are our pet lambs. I mentioned before the Suffolks, the blue-faced Leicesters and the Texels. So the reason we have them is to provide us with tups, with rams, with the boys. And it means that when we come to mating our sheep, that we have got everything within the farm and don't have to buy in very many animals from outside the farm. It means that we can keep complete control over any bugs that we might be bringing in by accident, but it also means that we've got animals here that really suit our system. Our sheep have to just get on with it. They have to be hardy, they have to be resilient. We're not well enough staffed to have hundreds of people on standby all the time to nurse every single thing that comes in. So we have bred a very hardy breed of sheep, which is hopefully why the pet pen is also as empty as it is, and will stay empty. And Irene, yeah, the Volac feeder is absolutely brilliant. We've used them for about 10 years now, and there's no way we would even consider even attempting not to do it. When I was a lot younger and at school, it was my sister and I's job to feed the pets, and we used to have to get up every morning and hand mix milk and individually bottle feed all of the pet lambs that we had. So yeah, it pretty much revolutionised the pet pen. Now, I know everybody gets very cross when somebody says, can you give me a time check please, but I don't own a watch. So if you were able to tell me how I'm doing for time, and I'm going to head out to a field to see some of the sheep when they go back out. And I'll just stay away from the walkers because it's not here. Yeah, he's not asked to be on this. $1.25, perfect, thank you very much. So as I go up the road, please ask as many questions as possible, because it's that or you're just going to have to hear how unfit I am as I go up the hill. It doesn't look that steep, it's not that steep. Thanks, Jazz. But it's amazing how ridiculously unfit you can sound when you're trying to walk uphill while keeping a commentary going. You can all admire our daffodils. And don't worry, we're not going too far. It's just at the top. And there's some tractors and machinery, if there's any small children watching that like tractors and forklifts. So, acres on the farm. On our home farm at Clackmae, we are farming around about 980 acres. And in addition to that, we also rent other farms and fields of grass all over the place. But actually at Clackmae, we have just shy of 50 acres. So we're about to cross the road, because as I said, the sheds are all at one end of the farm and everything else is heading in one direction. The sheds you can see at the top, that is where I spend most of my life, and that is our dairy. I mentioned earlier we're a dairy farm as well. And it's my mum that should have been doing this today, but apparently she's too busy because we're lambs. So here's some of the sheep in the fields. This is one of our triplets. And you can see her with her 3 lambs. All of these girls. And there's their lambs. I'm going to hit a fence post so I can't scan on round, sorry. Here, if I keep going up, hopefully you'll see some more. Just jump the fence. Badly, sorry for that. And in the distance you can see our wind turbine, which gives you an idea of just how windy it is. Hopefully the microphone is doing its job and you're not all just getting absolutely battered by the wind coming down. So the sheep come out of the shed and straight into a grass field where they then enjoy grazing and getting on with life. On yesterday's farm you saw sheep that were all kept just for breeding, but on this farm, other than the 500 lambs that we keep for breeding, everything else is sold to go into the food chain. So it's a very important, it is a good day for the turbine, Carol, the more it spins the better. So it's a very important part of our farm is the fact that we are providing, sorry, I'm just trying to see where that sheep is. We are providing food. Fresh milk every day, and out here So here are our sheep. Oh, mummies are having a wee stretch. They realised that somebody's in the field that they weren't expecting. First thing in the morning, when these girls are all fed, the lambs are too small to eat any of the feed that the sheep are fed, because you saw the size of them. Thanks, Kaz. You saw the size of the U-cake, of the U-rolls. They're far too big for a wee lamb's mouth, but it just gives the lambs time to run around like absolute nutters while their mums are eating all of their breakfast. Now, I don't know if you'll have been able to pick it up, but those lambs are bleating there, and it never ceases to amaze me just how far away a lamb can bleat, and its mum will hear it and come and find it, or bleat back to let the lambs know exactly where she is. And that's why in the shed you saw some of the pens that we were running the sheep loose in. It's so that they're getting used to that. I'm just quickly checking my bit of paper to see, have I covered the bits that I think are the most interesting on the farm. Here's some more of the sheep, and then you'll get to flick back to me for 10 seconds. The spin round, are they still there? So, thank you very much for joining me today. I hope that you enjoyed seeing around Clackmae. I've been really missing not having people around. COVID's obviously been quite tough for everybody, so I hope that you're all going to enjoy logging into Lambathon every day for the next however many weeks. It's incredible how many farms have signed up to do this, and I know that each and every one of us can't wait until we can welcome you back on our farms in person. So thank you very much for joining me. Tomorrow it's the Sandersons of Sennick. You're heading back to Dumfries and Galloway. It seems that it's only crazy